Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a little over 13 hours since John Cena's wrestling career of 23 years came to a close. I am back in my John Cena shirt that I wore last night. I didn't put the rest of the gear on. And I'm here this morning while my wife and son take a nap to give you my live review and my final thoughts on the fallout and the final match itself of John Cena's career. And the whole review of this as well for Saturday night's main event. What is going on, guys? Again, this is the Club of the Man 1993. Are you ready? Again, this is my live review of WWE's Saturday night's main event from the December 13th, 2025 edition that took place last night at the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. And this is well dubbed and well known for being the final match in John Cena's pro wrestling career. And it's done. It's over. Even when I looked up this morning, John Cena has officially been moved to the WWE alumni section. That's right. Probably the first time ever John was put there. Well, if it existed back in 2010, I wasn't watching. Probably then too, whenever he got fired in the Nexus storyline. But we got a lot to talk about. The backlash and fallout from the decision made in John Cena's match has really been rough. Triple H has been getting absolutely no mercy. And people are wanting his head. What are my thoughts on that? I'm going to leave that for whenever I do get to the last match and talk about the match overall. We got a display of NXT talent on the show. John Cena wanted that with him paving the way toward the future. And for the most part, it was a really good showing from the NXT stars. However, if you thought people were upset about the finish in the main event, wait till we get to that opening match. That's the match that I am going to rant on. Because although, again, the match was a good match, that finish was literally the worst thing they probably could have done. Well, I don't know. Maybe? I don't know. Either that or having Femi lose would have been the worst thing. I don't know which one was worse. But I was not happy with that finish in the first match. The second and third matches were of course, much better. And then the main event, again, saving my thoughts, leaving the suspense. How did I feel about the main event and John Cena's final match? Now, also disclaimer too, we are not going to review and evaluate John Cena's full retirement tour today. No. I do, before the end of the year, if I have time, would like to do a video, and I still got to put, my final thoughts together about it. Again, last year, whenever John Cena first announced that he was going to be retiring this year, and 2025 was going to be his retirement tour, I wanted to pull a Cody Rhodes and make a list of things that I wanted to see from John Cena. When Cody Rhodes left WWE, he made a list of what he wanted to do. I wanted to do that with John Cena's retirement tour. I never did it. But to evaluate it, I do want to put together that list of what I wanted to see from the John Cena retirement tour, and then to talk about it in general as a whole. So that will be when we evaluate the full tour. So we will go over it, and we will go from there when that happens. But for this episode, we're just going to focus on the show. So before we talk about the show, let me first check our live chat. And we've got Mark in the live chat saying, "Hey Mike, how are you? It's been a while. Very busy, man. Again, have a lot going on right now. Sister's getting married in a couple months, having my second child in April, holidays, a ton of other stuff just happened, kind of on the fly recently. But I'm doing good, my friend. Thank you very much. I hope you're doing well as well." He says, "I can't believe it's over. No more Cena." Again, yes, Cena is in the alumni section. And again, he will be an ambassador for at least the next 5 years. A great role for him, but yeah, nothing more in the ring. Mark said, "At first I was upset about the ending, but now I understand being the guy Cena is, he would want to put someone else over in his final match, not win the match himself." One thing I will definitely mention, yes, I do agree with that statement. That ending to Cody versus Oba sucked. Yes, it did. And Mark, that's a great way to segue into the review. Well, first, to announce the attendance, it was 19,000 people were in attendance for this show. Joe Tessitore and Stephanie McMahon were working the analyst desk or whatnot, recapping stuff with John Cena, showing other celebrities, giving John their best wishes. There were a handful of legends there as well. We had, who was all there? If I remember, we had Kurt Angle, RVD, Kevin Owens showed up. Elias came. Yeah, Elijah in TNA now. He was there as well, fully dressed and everything, because he was one of the people Cena shook hands with. Trish Stratus was there. Michelle McCool. Eve Torres. That was a nice surprise, because I don't think the full time I've been a fan of wrestling, I've seen Eve Torres live on TV. Or did she come to one of the old school Raw or anniversary shows and just went, "Hi, I'm here," and just left, basically. The typical Vince McMahon reunion shows and whatnot that utterly and absolutely sucked. And again, we're going to emphasize that as well, because I have my honest opinions about people just wanting to get Triple H's head right now after the year of 2025, which we'll talk about that briefly at the end. But yes, those were some legends who were there. We opened up the show with Cody Rhodes versus Oba Femi. Undisputed Champion versus NXT Champion. I'm going to first be honest and say, because of course, AEW and the past history, I was kind of hoping we would have had Cody Rhodes versus Ricky Saints. I was kind of hoping for that, but we got Cody Rhodes versus Oba Femi. No problem. Oba Femi is basically, well, we have Gunther, who is basically the modern Brock Lesnar. And then we have Oba Femi, that could be yet another Brock Lesnar, be another freaking monster. So, him having a match against WWE's top guy, I find this intriguing. The question is, though, would WWE pull the trigger and give Oba Femi the win here? Or is it going to be a thing where, he fights Cody Rhodes, he loses but looks good in the loss? That's kind of plain, what's the point of this thing? So I was hoping for an Oba Femi clean victory. There was also people saying that Drew McIntyre would probably interfere and distract Cody, cost him the match. I would have preferred Oba just to beat Cody clean, but that I would have rather had that than what we freaking got. Before that finish, though, I would say the match was fine. Oba hung in with Cody really well. I thought he had a good showing, and it's not his fault that this match, unfortunately, will probably be on one of my worst matches of the year list because, let's face it, there really wasn't too many horrible wrestling matches, but there was some that I just felt like, they made the wrong decision and the wrong story and whatnot. But the finish was basically Drew McIntyre just slid in the ring during the match and just started beating up Cody Rhodes, causing a DQ finish, so nobody got anything out of the match. Afterwards, they had Oba Femi and Cody Rhodes basically just 2-on-1 attack Drew McIntyre and make him look like an idiot. And let's put it this way, if they aren't going to give Drew the belt after what they did here, then this was even more of a total waste of time. And to give Drew a third opportunity for the belt and for him to still not win it would also be a waste of time. But yeah, they had the whole, the two baby faces still got the heels, and then they gave each other titles and just put them up in the ring like, we're champions and we had a good match. What did this do to anybody? Seriously, like at least like with one of them winning, I would not been happy if Cody won, because Cody didn't need this victory. Oba Femi could have used this victory to really, give an NXT star who is basically knocking on the door for his call-up, that would have given him, a good rub for being the NXT champion. But here, it's like, this did nothing for anybody. Like I said, it did nothing for Cody Rhodes, it did nothing for Oba Femi, and it also did nothing for Drew McIntyre. Because he got beaten down 2-on-1. Like, come on! And this was something that Vince McMahon would do that would piss me off. And it's come to a point where it's like, if you didn't want either one to lose, like, heck, here, I'll be honest, seeing this showed me they wanted to give Cody the win. They wanted to give Cody the win, but they were too scared to. So what did they do? Instead of having Oba Femi win, even with some interference, they had a DQ finish to make it look like, well, neither of them technically won and Oba looked good. You can't keep doing this. Again, that's the theme here of 2025. WWE has played the safe route too many times this year. That's why things have looked down this year, because they played it safe. If you're not going to have a decisive finish that's going to impact what comes next, then don't do the match. Don't do the match, and that finish to that opening match was a prime example. Heck, again, let's say it this way too. You knew the fans were going to be pissed about Oba Femi losing to the Cody Rhodes, so you try to find your way around it. But you also knew that fans were going to be pissed about John Cena tapping out to Gunther in his last match. But you still did that. Just saying. But that's kind of going against what I was saying. But I don't know. I just I didn't like that opening match, the finish. Again, before that finish, the match was going good. I liked what I saw from Oba Femi, but again, it's just that finish. It's just like, it killed it. It's like, what was the point of this match then, if you're just going to do like a DQ finish just to protect both of them? Seriously, especially on like a network special or like a premium live event, that shouldn't be happening on stuff like that. The weekly shows are the, suspenseful building moments. These are where we get our payoffs. Just saying. A DQ finish on a show like this should really matter. And on this one, it didn't. Because we know down the line, Cody Rhodes was going to be fighting Drew McIntyre either way. It didn't have to happen the way it did. And like I said, if they're going to do what they did here, then you better give Drew McIntyre that belt in their next match. I'm sorry. You got to give Drew the belt. So, I didn't like that finish. So, that's my thoughts on that match. That's my rant. That is my rant. I am not going to be ranting on that main event. The second match on the show was a really good match. I really enjoyed it. Sol Ruca versus Bayley. Sol Ruca, first off, when my wife was watching with me, And when she came out, she goes, "Is that another Charlotte Flair?" I'm like, "You're not lying that she looks like her, but nah, this match was great." Sol Ruca is someone that is really going to stand out on the main roster when she comes to the main roster. She is amazing in the ring. Her finisher, the Soul Snatcher, is one of the coolest moves I've seen by a women's wrestler, in my opinion. Either that or the Eclipse, or I believe Athena calls it the O-Face now, if I'm not mistaken. Love both those finishers for sure. Bayley made her look great. I did like also during this match, there was a moment where Bayley started showing some frustration, where I was kind of like, is that kind of like a tease to them? Because for a while, like, is it just me, or have they kind of backed off on the whole, split personality gimmick they had given her a few months ago? Or is it a thing where it's like, they're not taking much steps further with it now, so we can just coast for the time being? Again, the safe route, as I keep saying that they've been playing this year. But I saw that, and I'm kind of like, ooh. Like, that kind of, like, gave me a little, like, thing. I'm like, we're kind of seeing, some signs of that again. But, Sol Ruca does get the victory. Also, something I do want to give Bayley credit for, because I rant on this all the time. There was a moment in the match where she did hit the Rose plant on Sol Ruca. And they, of course, were near the corner of the ropes. And, again, I always hate it. We all know this. A big pet peeve of mine is when they're pinning someone by the ropes, but yet they pin the leg closest to them and not the rope. So it's obviously like, they're giving them the opportunity to put their foot on the ropes. This time, Bayley pinned both feet on the ropes, and Sol Ruca had to, like, maneuver a wee bit to get her foot on the rope. Bayley made her work to get her foot on the ropes. I appreciate that. It's simple little things like that I do appreciate. Sol Ruca does get the victory, but like I said, it was weird because she hit the Soul Snatcher, and then Bayley rolled away, and then Sol had to do a roll-up pin to give Bayley to pin Bayley to get the victory. Tad bit odd there, but it's not the worst thing in the world. But match ends, and then everybody should show each other a sign of respect. This is mostly like like a thing for the future, not so much of like a storytelling-driven match that they're going to have Bayley turn and attack Sol Ruca. Although that would have been interesting for the split personality gimmick. Even though, again, I'm still waiting to see Lyra Valkyria turn on Bayley, because I'm still confused as to why Bayley and Lyra are still a tag team, even though Bayley has Bayley. I'm sorry, I just saw a text message that pissed me off on my phone. I'm going to cover this stuff. Again, Bayley costed Lyra future opportunities she had with the women's Intercontinental title as the Intercontinental title while Becky was champion. Of course, Becky's no longer champion also, and Lyra's not like teasing Maxine Dupree about getting the title shot right now. Again, it was a story that had so much there. Like, even like a Bayley and Becky storyline longer term should have happened as well, I thought. But we didn't get that. They just had, the triple threat Evolution. That was it for Bayley's involvement. Because really, you think about it, the roots of the Becky Lynch heel turn was kind of Bayley. Because that's what she explained when she came out on Raw the following week after she turned on Lyra. Basically, some truth about, and which, again, as I said, was kind of what was be able to help Bayley get her sympathy. Because, again, she kind of just turned face without really having much sympathy behind her, if I'm being honest. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens when we get back to that. Hopefully, who knows. We also had a tag match that I didn't realize was for the World Tag Team Championships. But the titles were on the line. The champs, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, defended against NXT's Javon Evans and TNA's Leon Slater. Two guys who are like in their early 20s. Again, I keep saying this. I have been really digging and really liking how their featuring Javon Evans getting some occasional TV time on SmackDown. Again, I like how they're doing it. It's not too much, but it's enough to give him the taste of the main roster. He's obviously not getting fully called up yet, but they're giving him that experience, and I like it. And this match was an awesome spot fest of a match. The young guys weren't waiting. The match barely started, and they just like jumped right in at the veterans and just went at it. And there was a couple really great spots in this match that showed these teams' athleticism. Now, there was one spot, though, that everybody was a little concerned that was a botch, and that's when AJ Styles slipped on the ropes. Again, guys, sometimes I feel like, we just gotta, like, can't jump on everyone for every single little botch that happens. It didn't really affect the match. There could be, like, those matches that were, like, not that good, and, like, a botch or two just made it worse. Like, one that will probably be on my top 10 worst matches for the year, in my opinion, was the Saturday Night's Main Event match between Chelsea Green and Zelina Vega, the one where Zelina botched the 619, and just in general, that match just was not that great. But, like, this match as well, like, there's great spots. A mishap's gonna happen. But AJ Styles and Dragon Lee do retain and also show respect to the young talent afterwards, and cool. We move on from there. Before we get to the main event, I'm sorry. I'm so distracted right now, guys, from something that I just saw on my phone that pissed me off. I'm so sorry. What we had happen though before the main event. Honestly, I ranted about Cody Rhodes and Femi. What happened before the main event, in a funny way, I wasn't happy about. Because it puts a lot of heat on The Miz. But I was just like, we got freaking robbed storyline-wise because of The Miz. So, they were doing like a whole analysis thing with Stephanie McMahon and Joe Tessitore. And then Miz just gets in the ring and just interrupts the show. And he starts ranting about, how he wasn't more involved with John Cena's final match and this, and that, and how he should have been picked for it to begin with. He shouldn't have had to fight for it, this, and that, all this jazz. So I'm thinking, like, okay, what's this going to lead to? Who's coming out? Is this going to be like where like a legend comes out that was close to John Cena? Like, I thought maybe Batista would come out, but have you seen photos of Batista? He definitely would not be in any shape to hit a Batista bomb on The Miz. I'm sorry. But would might see him make an appearance. I thought maybe he would have because of them being in D.C. But instead, we have R-Truth come out. And I'm like, oh yeah, R-Truth, Cena's biggest fan, that he had something going in the summer and then they just dropped the ball with him. I don't know. So he comes out and basically he says, I seen what you did. And we're going to reveal who really should have had that opportunity when Sheamus got injured and taken out of the tournament. So to me, I'm just like, oh, it's going to be R-Truth. Nope, it wasn't R-Truth whose name was in the drawing ball, or whatever heck you wanted to call it, that R-Truth keeps making ball jokes about to Nick Aldis. It was not R-Truth's name. No. So, remember I mentioned there was 3 people that towards the end of the year I said should be John Cena's final opponent. I was thinking either Edge, LA Knight, who almost got it, or the name that was on that piece of paper, Joe Hendry. Yep, Joe Hendry's name was on that piece of paper. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. We were that close to getting a chance of seeing Joe Hendry maybe fight John Cena. Oh, I saw that. I'm just like, this, you can't. Ugh. Again, storyline wise, I'm not for real trying to rant on Mike Mazant. Like storyline wise, that's great heat. How he got that. He took away us from seeing Joe Hendry versus John Cena. Possibly. He would have had to be LA Knight first before fighting Gunther, which he probably wouldn't have beaten Gunther anyways. But I saw that and I am just like, oh man. But of course, because Miz said his name, Joe Hendry came out, and him and R-Truth just 2-on-1 beat down on the Miz, and had a nice little like little thing there. It was a nice little fun little like bathroom break moment in there. I liked it. I thought it was great. So that was great. So now let's get to the main event. Gunther came out first, and then he immediately slid out of the ring and just went by the announce table. In reality, you knew Gunther is a very respectable person in real life, and he stepped out of the way to let John Cena have this moment. Now they teased us because the lights went out, and for a second I thought maybe they were gonna do what's it called? They were going to maybe do Doctor of Thugonomics, which I thought would have been awesome. And maybe it could have been a thing where I'm not going to think of it. I was going to say maybe it could have been a thing like, the Doctor of Thugonomics tapped out to Gunther and not the "you can't see me, never give up" type person tapping out. But I got teased. But it didn't happen. John Cena came out to his normal theme. Again, I still don't like that after he turned back to being a face, they did the thing where they had his heel-tron of just the aerial black and white John Cena and then transition to the color one. I was fine when they did it at SummerSlam, but after it was obvious he was going to stay a face the rest of his run, they should have stopped that. I didn't like that. But John came out. He actually gave Stu, the cameraman, a hug. Even gave Stu a moment on the camera and took the camera himself. And then he went down to the ring. The introduction. He even gave Lilian Garcia a little pat on the back as well, as also just acknowledging. Oh yeah, and also of course said before he did say hi to all the legends and current stars, because Sami Zayn and his son were sitting at ringside also too. Everybody who was there to support him was he acknowledged too. And then the match happened. Before we get to the finish, let's talk about the entire match first. So, the only part of the match I didn't like. Well, there was two parts of the match I didn't like. First was the spot where Gunther was constantly clotheslining John Cena and telling the referee, ask him. To me, I thought that, one, it was too soon in the match, I thought, to be doing that. Like I said, I know the goal for Gunther was to get John Cena to tap out. And again, in reality I knew Gunther was someone that could make John Cena tap out. But I felt, again, that was too soon. And I also felt like he did too many clotheslines. Because it was 6 or 7? After the third or fourth one, I would have been okay, enough. Because that's when I'm kind of thinking, okay, do something different here. It was kind of getting a little, dragged out right there. The other thing that didn't quite make sense to me was there was a couple times Gunther went for a pinfall victory, which I was confused. I didn't say I didn't like that, but I was confused as to why he did that. I mean, yes, he probably did it to wear down your opponents, but I just, I don't know. To me, that was a little off. But other than that, the match for what it was fine. The crowd was heavily invested in Cena. Cena did the 5 moves of doom 3 times. He did emphasize when he did the third time that this would be the last one. Gunther did kick out an AA, as I said in my live reactions. You knew Gunther was going to kick out of an AA. At least one. Because everyone and their mamas has kicked out of the AA. And, so, let's get to the finish. So, before I get to the finish, I mentioned before the match started in my live reactions that, yes, Gunther was not the person I wanted to have John Cena wrestle in his last match. Again, not that it would be bad. And again, the match wasn't bad. I gave a couple nitpicks, but the match was not bad. My thing, though, was the fact that I just felt like Gunther didn't need to be the one to officially retire John Cena. And even if it was to get John Cena to tap out, you could have given someone else that honor. Like, Gunther doesn't need it. He's well established and doesn't need it. But it's not like that much so that I want to like rip the guy's head off, basically. But what I also thought more about was, you know, John Cena stands for never give up, right? I feel like at this point in his career, John Cena is an underdog compared to Gunther. So that's why I thought John Cena beating someone on Gunther's caliber would be okay, in my opinion. So that's why I thought maybe there's a chance John will win. And I thought that a few times. I thought when he got Gunther up for that AA, that Avalanche AA, and hit him, I thought he had him there. During that ending sequence where Gunther was like putting constant sleeper holds on John Cena. And Cena kept like, you know, like teasing, he was going to pass out. It's like, no, not yet. Or like fighting back out. I think he did slip in one AA, I think, on him. I thought he had him there as well. There were plenty of moments where I thought, I think Cena's got him right here, and didn't have him. So, when I think, like, I knew it was done when Gunther finally threw in the elbows. Because usually, like, you know, and again, here's the other thing, too, what I do like about Gunther. And one thing I feel like that, again, I understand why a lot of people aren't a fan of Gunther in general. Because he's a very old school type wrestler. I get it. That style is not for everyone. I don't mind a few people having that style. Because again, it makes him unique. If everyone had that style, okay, yes, it would be boring. But not just that, Gunther's a heel that can beat people clean. And when you do beat him, which is not that often, it feels like a big deal. Because you know he's tough to beat. And they're doing it as a heel. Like, I'm just putting this out there right now. If Vince McMahon was still around and he did this, it would have been Roman Reigns. And not the Roman Reigns we have now. It would have been the big dog Roman Reigns. It would have been the same Roman Reigns that fought The Undertaker at WrestleMania 33. That's what we would have had if Vince McMahon was still around. We're here, although yes, Gunther wasn't the favorable person to do this. It's someone that I could have believably seen it. And again, the heat he's getting for it, even though again, I don't like that, you know, I don't like that people are basically like threatening, like basically like, you know, acting like this is like a life or death thing. I think that's a little too far, in my opinion. But again, Gunther's the type of villain we need more of. Because he can win matches clean. And when he cheats to win, it's because he feels weak. He feels like, you know, someone's finally found his Achilles heel. And that's the heels that we haven't had for the longest time. And now that we finally have one, and people are still like, you know, like not happy about it, it's kind of a point where I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you. Is he everybody's cup of tea? No. But you still realize the value you have with him. So, again, yes, him getting John Cena to tap out was predictable. It wasn't everybody's cup of tea. But once again, like, first off, it was the way Cena wanted to go out. Second off, it was definitely not the worst thing they could have done for John Cena. It's not. And seeing him when he tapped out, he smiled. It was kind of more so of a thing where it's like he was going to hold on as long as he could. And it was kind of like him tapping out was like, I'm good. I'm ready to go. He was humbled. Honestly, the way I would have liked to have seen it if Cena would have stayed heel. I think fans wouldn't have minded as much if Cena was a heel. Which again, we'll talk about that when we do my review. But, again, I was bummed to see that at first. But again, to me, it's like, you know, someone is actually getting good heat off of this. Gunther. It's not like he had to cheat or whatnot. Or it's not like, you know, he's someone that okay, gets handed everything. No, I mean, like, but like I said it too, it's like He's not being someone we're being forced to like also. And he's also not Baron Corbin, who got white heat because he couldn't win a freaking match without any help at all whatsoever. When honestly, he could have been that person. So, again, not my number one pick for John's last match. But to me, after it's done, it's like, it happened. It's done. I'm ready to move on. Again, John Cena is moving on, and so should we. Was his retirement tour a full success? No. There's going to be things I didn't like about his retirement tour. A lot of things that flopped. At the end of the day, though, did it do too much harm? Not really. Was this one of WWE's best years? No. It was a year of playing the safe route. A lot of payoffs didn't cap off. I'm going to be honest. A lot of payoffs were very disappointing. But as I keep saying this, would you rather have this safe route we're getting now, or the horrible, unwatchable toilet humor we got from Vince McMahon for how many years? I'm just saying. People are saying that they want Vince McMahon back after the year Triple H has had. Where I say, so you want toilet humor, that stuff that makes you not want to be a wrestling fan, versus this stuff, it's like, that's all we're going to do? That's it? Like, disappointing, yes. But is it stuff that feels like, that Vince McMahon's like, I know you hate this, but I'm still going to poke your bear. Although, yes, Triple H had to have known people were not going to like this either. But still, this wasn't the worst case scenario for John Cena's last match, in my honest opinion. And also, too, here's another thing I do want to say that bothers me, too. Especially going back to earlier this year, whenever fans were pissed that Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble over John Cena. Because I'll say this. If you're a John Cena fan who has supported him through thick and thin, even during the days where you wanted him off your TV, then I don't blame them for being upset. But to the fans who, didn't support John Cena, all of a sudden want to act like, oh, I never hated him. I never, was against him or whatnot. He's the best ever. Basically, just just trying to spin the narrative. That's the ones I'm annoyed with most. Because now all of a sudden, when he's leaving, you want to see him get handed every single thing. Yet, they took some chances with him and turned him heel this year. And within 2 seconds, you were done with it. And basically saying that you treated John Cena wrong, you buried him in this, and that. Those are the fans I'm just kind of like, no offense, you really have no room to talk. Because at one moment we wanted him off the TV. And he did nothing new to make you care, other than the fact that announced that he's going to retire. And then you want to all of a sudden say he was never bothered. That's the one that bothers. So yeah, I personally was fine. Again, I would rather. 2025 has been a year where it's like, it's fine, but I would have liked better, and that's what I would have gone with. But after the match, in the midst of all the boos, John Cena did get his moment back in the ring to shine. Gunther basically got right out of the ring and let John Cena have his moment. I am actually somewhat surprised, because he has done it before, he didn't shake John Cena's hand. Because he did that when he beat Randy Orton. I forgot who else it was that he shook their hand. I'm actually surprised Gunther didn't do that. Maybe because he is going to use this to generate more heat going forward. Because the plan is most likely him versus Brock Lesnar. So, but afterwards, everybody came out. Triple H again got booed. CM Punk and Cody Rhodes got in the ring and let Cena hold the titles one last time. And he went to each corner, raised them for everyone. And when he was done there, Triple H got in the ring, gave him a hug. And he pointed up to the Tron, like up high, and showed a video package that John hadn't seen yet. They did like a picture-in-picture thing, like they would during a commercial break. So we got to see John's genuine reaction the whole time. It was awesome. And afterwards, John Cena took his final bows, walked out of the ring, got on the stage, did one last salute, and said, "It's been a pleasure doing services for you. Have a good night," or whatever the exact words he said. He gave us one last salute, and the camera just watched him walk to the back. And then they gave us a few seconds, and then they fade to black. Now, the one thing I was kind of hoping for with that video package, everybody else coming out, I was kind of hoping they would have announced Cena going into the Hall of Fame. Because you know John's going to get in the Hall of Fame for sure. But Stephanie's are going in. I think they already kind of emphasized that she was going to be the headliner. So maybe that's why they're not doing it this year. But I kind of thought maybe they would do it with him retiring now. But they didn't. So when that happens for John, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm pretty sure it's not going to be too long until that happens. And that's the show, guys. Overall, again, the stuff with Cena, like, the moments of, like, saying goodbye and everything was amazing. The match itself, I gave the match a B+. If I didn't put my grades for the matches in here, but I would probably give this match, really all three of the matches got B+, except for Cody and Oba. That got a C+ for me because the match was good, but the finish wrecked it all. But, so overall, the show for me is a B. It was a good show. Again, I probably could have given it maybe a B+, maybe an A-, but probably would have been a B+ if it wasn't for that botched finish. That horrible finish, I'm sorry. So, I'm sorry. I'm going to leave the live chat that I'm going to get out of here. We still have Mark in the live chat. Thanks for the congratulations as well, very much. How many more times are we going to see Cody versus Drew, if not going to put the title on him? Exactly, like I said. If they're not going to give Drew the belt, then just end the feud now, is my opinion. He loves Sol Ruca's finisher. It ranks high up there with the RKO and the Stone Cold Stunner, for sure. They were auditioning Oba Femi, Sol Ruca, and Javon Evans to see if they were ready for the main roster, which definitely, were good showings, for sure. I also see why Gunther was the one to win the last time is now tournament, because if they had a babyface to beat John, I believe they would have booed them out of the building. Which, you're right, they could have, yes. And that's why I made that remark before about, it's like, the fans that annoy me the most are the ones who hated Cena all this time, but the moment he wanted to retire, they wanted them handed everything. Like, honestly, if John Cena would have won the Rumble, stayed face, and just won the belt at WrestleMania, would you have liked that? I get the fact that probably people wanted to cheer John Cena making history, but also in reality was John Cena was a very polarized character. And him telling the story, and again, they had it all set up perfectly for that heel turn. But again, I digress. This is not a review John Cena's retirement tour video. We'll be doing that one soon. But just to give a little thing there. But I do can see why also a babyface probably would have been booed out of the building too. And he would have loved to have seen Oba Femi versus Brock Lesnar before Brock decided to hang it up too. I kind of hope so, yes. Seeing that match as well. That is another Brock Lesnar match I want to see. Honestly, because I have no clue what's going on with him. He hasn't been on AEW TV since he got that surgery. But if they could bring one person back to have a match with Brock Lesnar after their tease in the 2020 Rumble, I still would have loved to have seen Brock Lesnar versus Keith Lee. But also, maybe Keith's not healthy enough like he used to be for that. Because he's gone through a lot since that Rumble moment for sure. But yeah, I'd say if those were three people I would like to see Brock fight one more time. That's another thing too. Would you want to have seen the WrestlePalooza match with Brock Lesnar and John Cena be John Cena's final match? Again, what we got on this show, I would have much rather seen that than John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. Heck, I would have rather... I'm also glad they did Logan Paul and John Cena on another pay-per-view. I'm just saying. I'm also glad they didn't give it to Logan Paul. That's another person I'm pretty sure Vince would have had it happen to. He would have given... Okay, if Vince McMahon was still around, we would have gotten Big Dog Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, or Logan Paul being John Cena's final opponent. And I would have hated any of those three. Just saying. Heck, also people were saying Oba Femi. Oba Femi could have been a good final opponent for John Cena. That would have worked too, but he's a babyface. I don't know. But I'm going to get out of here, guys. I have other things I got to do, and like I said, there's just some other crap on my phone, and I just wanted to just see what really is happening with it, but, whatever. But I'm going to get out of here, guys. Again, what are your thoughts on John Cena's final match? The whole edition of this episode of Saturday Night's Main Event. Leave your guys' thoughts again down in the comment section below. Slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well at The Club of the Man 93. Also follow me on TikTok and on Instagram at The Club of the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch y'all later. Have a great rest of your Sunday. And again, John Cena, thank you for 23 years of Never Give Up, Doctor of Thugonomics. I was honored for sure to see Doctor of Thugonomics live when he came out as Doctor of Thugonomics at WrestleMania 35. And we'll see you around. Wish you the best as an ambassador for WWE. Wish you the best full-time in Hollywood. And again, thank you. Thank you, John Cena. Instead of ending it with a yeah and whatnot, I want to end it with a salute. Thank you, John Cena.